The voters. I think that's a terrible idea. Look, I debated Professor Lichtman before. I told him his theories about the keys were absurd. I was right. He was wrong. I said he'd lose his keys.
No, you were not right, and I was not wrong, and that's a cheap shot, and I won't stand for it.
Well, who won, brother?
You should not be taking cheap shots at me.
Who won?
You
live in a total world of denial.
I read your own followers' comments, and they all trashed you, every one of them, and supported me.
Yeah,
so
right,
with
right.
Your personal
yeah,
attacks.
Come find out again.
Make whatever point you want.
Yeah.
Don't make it personal.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
You attacked me personally.
You're so deluded.
Oh, right. I've only been a professor for 51 years.
On this program, I've never been able to finish a thought.
How many books have you published? No, because you're personally attacking me again. Say whatever you want, but I'm not going to stand for
brother,
personal
you got it wrong.
Say
you were
whatever
preposterously and stupidly wrong. So, all right. Can I just finish a goddamn thought ever on this show?
No, not if you're personally. I admitted I was wrong. I don't need you to call me stupid.
Okay.
I'll just say it's great to see you Democrats all getting along so well.
Who taught you manners?
It's lovely to see a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierre. You're so right. We're so unified right now.
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy against you? Who the hell are you? Are you
like
Jesus Christ, you loser? Okay, can I just give the correct answer for once?
What a deal going on there. Man, oh man. Oh, my my intro music didn't go on. And I'm trying to get on X. We'll see if that works. Maybe had a little technical difficulties going on there. But man, oh man, that was pretty good. There it is. There's that fucking Solid guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday. Live at 5 on the Evil at Bean Network and Rumble and maybe Twitter, I don't know, and YouTube. I don't know, we did that. Yeah, a little bit of trying to iron this stuff out on that, so got a little double talk on that. That was on the Piers Morgan show of that with Piers Morgan, Sank from Young Turks, which is an extremely left-wing nutcase deal. And you had Alan Lichtman on there of that, who was the one, who is this, and I kind of remember him a little bit, but he's this great professor that comes on and has predicted every election in the last 60 years correctly on the deal. And he said Harris is going to win of that. And he's been vilified like Ann Seltzer of the famed, you cannot dispute the Des Moines Register poll by Ann Seltzer BS that's been going on of that, where she called it Iowa, Harris by 3. There was a poll that came out by Emerson, was plus 10 Trump. And it actually, last time I checked, it was plus 13 Trump. And you heard that Lichtman guy, this supposed to be scholarly professor, couldn't handle the criticism. And rightly so. I mean, he was saying, we did it on election night, or I think the day after. He was on some sort of podcast saying, Harris is going to win. As the electoral college votes coming in, and he's, that, and this other clown that was on with him, yeah, I think she's going to pull this out, da-da-da-da-da. And then finally gets to, well, I don't think she's going to win after Trump basically had 300 plus electoral college votes and was kicking ass in the popular vote, which nobody but a few of us, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports, had it +2. My prediction was on Monday before the election was Trump +1. We'll see. It's kind of vacillating in between that 2. Well, actually, it was 3. Most of his polling was 2. I said +1 on the popular vote, which looks like it's going to land somewhere between that 1 and 2% of that, which means Kamala was completely 1,000% persona non grata toast on this whole deal. And it's very fitting, I believe, that she is. Because there was no going on their whole pro-democracy and this threat to Trump's going to be Hitler and the dictator and he's going to do all this stuff. Kamala Harris was put in like you would install any tin horn dictator, tyrannical leader, Stalinist, communist, whatever. Even in Venezuela, in Hugo Chavez, they at least had a sham election to make it look like they were at least semi-legitimate. It's stunning, but that clown, Lichtman, as like all these historians, I'm getting tired of the Doris Kearns Goodwins and the Michael Becheloffs and all this. All they do is hate on Trump. They hate on MAGA. They hate on the working class people of America. The only thing they give a crap about you on is we want your dollars. Keep shoveling those tax dollars in, the $5 trillion, then we'll saddle you with $35 trillion in debt. What, $300 billion budget here in my state of California? It's absolutely fantastic. Unbelievable of what goes on. But that are there, and Alan Lichtman getting all indignant when he is faced with the truth that you're modeling or your history professor, you can stuff that crap up your ass, buddy. And there's one of the biggest liberals you'll ever see is Sank from the Young Turks telling you that, telling you don't blame, and he's telling everybody, and he's exactly right. Don't blame the voters. It's not the voters' fault that Harris did not win. The voters said, we are tired of being hosed under the workbench. How hard is that for you to freaking understand? But you see the Trump derangement syndrome and, oh, we got to have counselors and all this other stuff, and we're melting down. If you go on the TikTok or whatever the thing it is, and all the chicks in there, and some of the dudes that think they're chicks are just having a 1,000% hissy fit over this. And it's absolutely ridiculous of what we have to put up with. I mean, some of the things that come out in these elections, and there was lots of predictions on this, that many were going to just have, if Trump wins, they're going to break down into oblivion. And it has happened 1,000%. Trump's made some great picks, some more. We'll have some of them on that. Lutnick at Treasury, Mehmet Oz for the Medicare and that agency, rumored, posted, suggested very heavily, Linda McMahon is going to be Secretary of Education, and hopefully the promise comes down that Ronald Reagan couldn't fulfill in 1980 when he was campaigning to end the Department of Education. The single biggest thing we could do for everyone out there, parents, kids, communities that are going to depend on future generations to bail us out of the mess of the last 4 years and beyond. The best thing we can do, especially for the future of our kids, is eliminate the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education. They have zero role. They should have zero role in our education system. This is my example. I put it out many, many, many times. Take a dollar. Take a tax dollar. That they point a gun at you and say, if you don't give us the money, you're going to jail. And that education dollar goes to Washington, D.C. If they put a 60-cent stamp on it now, and the labor to do it, you're getting back $98. You're losing $2 just to send it to the District of Criminals and to send it back to your community. Whether that's Bethesda, Maryland, Enid, Oklahoma, Seattle, Washington, Rockland, California, Midland, Texas, or anywhere in between. On top of that, the rest of the crap they do over there, no more than teachers who said, lock up those parents and those community members like myself, the Peanut Gallery out here, Joanne and Louise, Claudia Ramirez down in Riverside and such. Lock them up. Told Merrick Garland in an email, and he was going to execute it until it got leaked out. They were denying that it would even happen. This is some of the tomfoolery, to put it mildly, that we put up with for over decades. What is it? Must put out the deal. What is it? Since the 90s, we were number one in education across the world. Now we're 24th. And the idiotic fact checkers said, well, we couldn't substantiate that. We can't verify it. Well, so what? We're now 25th or 26th, or we weren't number one in 1990, which we were. For all you out there in Twitter land who were running the first show on, this started, and I will tell you this, don't let the cancer of California spread across the whole world. Because they test pilot all this. Ban fracking, no oil drilling, AB 32, climate change, warming, jack the gas prices up to the moon. We just did it another 65 cents a gallon on top of the highest gas prices in the 57 states, as Obama has said. This stuff is absolutely Looney Tunes. And we've done it. We were number one in education in 1988. We were number one in the USA. California was number one in the United States. And for those of you that don't know, teachers, not unions, get that. Unions are not people. Unions cannot do anything. People do. Teachers, cops, whomever form a union. The union represents them. Like an attorney represents you in court. It's not teachers' union, it's teachers. They passed Prop 98 because under the GAN spending caps, in 87, we got $1 billion tax refund when we capped spending to inflation and population growth. They couldn't handle that. So they said, oh, the kids, and they need the money and all that. And we dedicated 40% of the budget, the general slush fund budget, to education. We have dropped into the 40s from number 1 in 30 years in the same time. And it was teachers that have done it, and teachers are continuing to do it today. And again, I invite you into the studio, sit here, we have microphones, call in, whatever. Anybody that wants to go over the numbers or dispute or think I'm off base, let's have a conversation. All this stuff has happened, and almost all of it has originated right here in the once golden state of California. Once was the land of opportunity. Now people are fleeing, can't get out of here fast enough. And it's all the stuff we got. We have the greatest opportunity right now to break down the deep state, the establishment, the New World Order, GATT, WTO, illegal invasions, and all that other stuff. The greatest opportunity we've been given in my lifetime is right now with the second election of Trump. And I said it in 20, maybe we didn't appreciate the good times we had from 16 to 20. Maybe we needed that break. Maybe Trump needed that break. He made a lot of, he has kind of even tiptoed and admitted it. He put too many people, surrounded himself with too many establishment people. That's out the window in 24. Between Matt Gaetz, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, all those picks, Kristi Noem. We'll see Lutnick now at Treasury, the Steve Mnuchins, the Jared Kurshners, the Mike Pences are all gone. And that's what's got him in a big freaking panic over there. And rightly so. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We cannot back up. We cannot back down for any reason because they are just looking for any slight, crack in the dike, any mistake that we may make, any time we may back off. And they'll be pouncing on us like nobody's business. We really need, and like I said, and I mentioned it earlier, we really need to cut the Department of Education. Started under Jimmy Carter in 79. Ronald Reagan campaigned in 80, got elected on abolishing the Department of Education, which was only a year old, and couldn't get it done. Now it is the behemoth. 40 years later, it has wrecked education and wrecked the future of our kids. Not only the broad coalition that Trump's putting together of people from all walks of life, both political parties, very, very, very traditional values, working class people, even though, as within Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, they're all coming together to fix this. Musk even tweeted out, and Vivek Ramaswamy, head of the Doge, they should make him chairman emeritus, Ron Paul. He's part of the organization. Here is Bill Maher on EDU. Here we go.
I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke.
He's exactly right. Bill Maher, so-called, I think it's very, at least from my experience, or not experience, but observation, pot smoker, liberal, left of center. They have turned schools and colleges into a joke. You see the graphic, the scary truth behind how far American kids have fallen. That's our future. No matter what, if we don't fix the education system in the USA, we're going to be paddling upstream, and at some point, you're just going to run out of juice. That's what we're facing today. If we can gut, I tell you, Elon Musk, that's why I came on X today. Elon Musk bought X, fired 80% of the employees. You ask most anybody, it works about the same. Yeah, there's a few glitches, obviously. 80% of the people working there under the old regime were unnecessary. Now, I don't know if the number goes quite that high in the USG, but it's probably pretty darn close. Again, it's been put out there. Corey DeAngelis, big education expert, put it up on the X machine. Breaking. Many outlets are reporting President Donald Trump plans to name Linda McMahon as the last Secretary of Education. She supports education freedom. Congratulations, Linda McMahon. School choice is from her, quote from her on the X machine. School choice is a mechanism to escape failing public schools. School choice will level the playing field by breaking down barriers of economic disadvantage and offering parents control over their children's education. Again, that's no more than what's been going on out here in California with the whole, we're not going to let the parents know that little Jimmy wants to be known as Janie and wants his penis cut off, wants to be on hormone blockers, or Juanita wants to be Juan and have her breasts cut off. The lunacy, and we have a idiotic governor and attorney general and Speaker of the Assembly and Senate thinks this is just peachy keen. We had Tony Thurmond, State Office of Education, came down to Chino Valley School District out here in the IE and tried to thwart the great president of that Chino Valley School Board, Sonia Shaw, who was the one that started this off and said, no, parents have a right to know what's going on with their kids. There's something going on. They should know about it. Now, if some kid's getting abused, that's where the government steps in. But not every parent is out there beating the crap out of their kid for whatever reason. Whether they're having issues, or the teen girl comes home pregnant. Oh yeah, the mean white hillbilly dad's gonna beat the crap out of her. Go kill the dude that impregnated her, and all this other noise. That happens 27 million times a day, but we have no illegals are the greatest thing since sliced bread. They don't commit any crimes. In fact, they take the evil hillbillies over there and make sure that they're not committing any crimes because they're out watching them and reporting them to the cops. That's how absurd we have gotten. If it's not Corey DeAngelis, he'd be a great Secretary of Education. Linda McMahon, I think, would be just 1A on that. As long as they get rid of the Department of Education, I'm going to say by the end of 2025, they should be locking the doors. It's gone, no longer needed. Schools should be governed at the local level. You deserve the kind of schools you want as a community. Then maybe people would pay a little more attention what's going on in their schools and go to the school board meetings and find out. All you have to do to come to my native area, Moreno Valley, California, if you haven't seen, on the Daily Mail, because you'll see me speaking and others, a few of us out there, just type in the Daily Mail, Moreno Valley, California, Moreno Valley parents, and you'll see the dumpster fire that Corey DeAngelis posted the stuff on X and went viral, 30, 40, 80 million views or whatever, of the complete disaster we got going on in the school district here, right where I'm broadcasting from. This is ground zero. Your local area, and I've said this many times, probably make people's head explode again. What happens in your local area has much more effect than what's going on in the Scoundrels of Sacramento or the District of Criminals in Washington, D.C. And you have much more ability to affect your local area because you can, it's much easier for you to attend a local school board meeting or city council meeting than it is most people to go to the legislature unless you live in Sacramento. Or, pray tell, if you're in California, 3,000-mile trip to stand outside the Capitol because they ain't going to let you in. Or if they do, they'll stick you in the gulag like the J6ers. This is what we're up against. This is the kind of assault we've all been under. Hopefully, with this new dawning of America, starting with the team that Donald Trump's put on the federal government to get that straightened out, we need all of us in our individual states and communities need to work on the same thing. And again, And I know everybody's got election fatigue, but the elections for November of 2026 started on November 6, 2024. Because I guarantee you the other side's already maneuvering. They're playing. Let's just take a national basis. The Democratic National Committee is planning on raising $10 billion to take over the House and the Senate. And don't discount for a minute that they won't come up with the money. I mean, we got Musk on our side. He said, hey, senators, congressmen that are going to oppose the MAGA agenda are going to get primaried. So hopefully that keeps them in line. But we need to, from the center right, this new MAGA, and it's not a Republican only. It's taking the working class people from the Democratic and Republican Party. The MAGA Trump movement is merging them together. The Democratic Party and the establishment Republican Party can, the Bushes, the Cheneys can all join Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck E. Schumer and all that other, they can have the Democratic Party. You know, you can take the rich, educated elites. You got them. We'll take the people of the U.S., good old U.S. of A. So, it's going to be a raucous ride, I can guarantee you that. You already see all the hair pulling that's going out over that. Wait till you see the deportations. Wait till you see the cost cutting and the savings and everything else that's going to come on. You're going to see. You think what you see between the suburban chicks and the suburban dudes that think they're chicks and whatever, the educated elite, the Alan Lichtmans of the world melting down. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because their world's about, and there's some justification. Their world's about to come crashing down. The good news is that's going to be to the benefit of 98.7% of us. And if they get on board, it will be to the benefit of them too. So we'll see how this all works out. It'll be one of the great studies in human history. But I think in the end, when it shakes all out, almost everybody's going to like the result. One of the very, very, very troubling things that we've been going through just before we join the Mighty Met KMET 1490 AM here in a sec, about a couple minutes, is our goonball governor, Gavin Newsom. And the third Maryland senator that Gavin Newsom appointed, fill out the late Dianne Feinstein seat. I don't believe Governor Newsom, we call him Gulag Gavin, was elected to be governor of the resistance, said outgoing U.S. Senator LaFonso Butler. I hope the lesson from any of this is a reminder for all of us that we are public servants. The governor of California has to be the governor of California. Responding to a quote from SEMA on the X machine, I can't count the number of voters who I interviewed in battleground states who said,
can you hear me, Roy?
Yes. Don't California, my Arizona, Nevada, etc. Did this tilt the election? My analysis on Tyra Luna. If Democrats want to win back the American people, does California need to stand down LA Times? That's from a very liberal column. Cenk Younger, or whatever his name is, from Young Turks, said the same thing of that and told Alan Lichtman, hey, don't blame the voters.
30 seconds.
They're the ones that have been feeling the pain and they want it to stop because they knew prosperity from 16 to 20. As you heard, Sean from KMET will be joining them here on the Mighty Met, 1490 a.m., and we'll do the last half hour.
Here we go. 10 seconds.
For those who support America, patriotswitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Producer and is not endorsed by this
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 a.m., broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video dance and evil upbeat network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire on Rumble. We're back on YouTube. We're irritating them, guys. First day, we've been on the X machine going on that, so maybe we'll expand our network going on this with the... See that on with the great Elon Musk, now head, along with Vivek Ramaswamy, with a big assist from Ron Paul at the Department of Government Efficiency, straightening, hopefully, the big waste and fraud and abuse that we have been taking as American citizens from not only the federal government, and we need to turn these principles into our local areas moving forward of that. Of course, watching the center left, especially the loons and the establishments and the Liz Cheneys and the suburban chicks that are having meltdowns all over social media and everything else on this stuff. The good part of that is now we have them in the minority of where they should be. Trump winning the Electoral College by one more state than he did in 16, winning the popular vote, 3+. I think he was down 2 to Hillary. Well, he was down 4, almost 5 to Biden, turning it back to a 1+ popular vote victory, which hasn't been seen with on an open or from a challenger per se on the Republican Party. I don't think, well, you'd say the open seat in 1988 of the George Poppy Bush versus Michael Dukakis. But of course, W won, but he was an incumbent in 2004. He won the popular vote against John Kerry, but who couldn't? I mean, I think a rock could have won the popular vote against Kerry in 2004. But nobody even expected Trump or any Republican, even in the near future, to win the popular vote. He's got a clear mandate from the American people to get the job done. As Cenk said when he was dressing down Alan Lichtman at the start of the show, that's what the American people want. They sent this team in. They knew very well Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kristi Noem. Now it looks like Linda McMahon, Lutnick. These types were coming in. They were at the rallies. The plans, Tom Homan, border czar. There was well known. The people knew what they were voting for. There wasn't Trump ran this stealth campaign and he was lying like the typical yo-yo politicians do and that. No, he was very honest and upfront about what was going to make America great again, America safe again, America healthy again. this is the kind of political landscape a lot of us have been looking for a long time. I don't really think, at least in my time, I've seen something like this sweep across the country. Then this reminds me a lot of Reagan 1980. And, getting the boll weevils or the Southern Democrats to start voting or switching parties and start working for the people. And look at what Reagan did. Go back to the air traffic controllers when they got uppity and said, "Oh, we're gonna strike. You're gonna pay us more money." And Reagan said, "Fine and dandy. You guys are now unemployed. We're gonna get people in here that want to do the job." And not one plane, not one accident happened when Reagan fired the air traffic controllers and brought a whole new crew in. I see this coming in on steroids in 2025 with the Trump MAGA movement, and the team he has put together is putting the finishing touches on. They're so afraid of Matt Gaetz because they've screwed him over, true blued and tattooed. And now he's got it appears that he will have the hammer of the Department of Justice. Leo the Lion has posted this on the X machine. Breaking news, Trump has sent word to the Senate Majority Leader Thune that if the Senate doesn't confirm AG Gaetz, he will appoint him using the Federal Vacancies Return Act of 1998, which allows temporary appointments for up to 210 days with a possible 210-day this and that. So whether it's a recess appointment, which can go 2 years, or this, which can go possibly a little longer than a year, Trump's been throwing down the gauntlet. He's been calling individual U.S. senators. He's been going to bat for Matt Gaetz. Because he knows what he's went through with Merrick Garland and the lawfare that he suffered personally from the Harris-Biden regime. Great Darren Beatty put this up. Swamp's worst nightmare, how AG Matt Gaetz can make the Department of Justice great again. You need somebody, we ran the clips yesterday, of Gaetz with questioning the odious Secretary of Defense under the Harris-Biden administration, Lloyd Austin. And he destroyed him. He didn't back down from Lloyd Austin. Lloyd Austin now tried to act like a tough military 4-star, 5 stars, or whatever general he is, and this and that. And Gaetz didn't have none of it. He looked him right back in the eye and said, "You wokest piece of S. You're destroying the frickin' military. You're trying to perpetuate the war machine. That's why and they've done the same to Matt Gaetz. They've tried to smear him and everything else. If the Harris Biden and Merrick Garland found no way to prosecute Matt Gaetz of, well, this person said they saw this and da-da-da-da-da. This goes back to the pubic hair on Clarence Thomas and the whole Kavanaugh and that crazy chick that was accusing him of everything but Sunday. I don't think he will. I hope he doesn't. I hope Gaetz doesn't back down. I hope Trump doesn't back down on this one. Whether what my speculation was, that, okay, this is what I would tell the senators right now. I'd say, you know what? You don't appoint Matt Gaetz? Guess who's going to appoint him U.S. Senator from Florida? So do you want to deal with him in the Senate floor? Or do you want him over on my side in the Department of Justice? And then we'll get Ken Paxton, the Attorney General from Texas that you guys tried to screw over with the Bushes and the Klan and all that. We'll put Ken Paxton in as Attorney General, and then you can deal with Ken Paxton as Attorney General and Matt Gaetz every day in the well of the Senate. This is why the swamp creatures are in a humongous hissy fit. Because Trump's putting them in a box. Says, you guys allowed all this stuff. What, 20 Republicans voted for Merrick Garland to confirm him as Attorney General? Thank goodness. And I'm no big Mitch McConnell fan by a long shot. But thank goodness he delayed right when Trump was coming in 17. He delayed the Merrick Garland pick that Obama had when Scalia unexpectedly passed away of a heart attack. Mitch McConnell blocked that. Can you imagine if Merrick Garland was on the freaking Supreme Court replacing the great Anton Scalia? Holy cow, would we be? Would we be in deep bandini, as they say? You know, and again, it's like the Department of Education. The corruption that's in the Justice Department, the FBI, the CIA. I hope Kash Patel, if Kash Patel gets, and I hope he does, if he gets named director of the FBI, that will put the coup de grace on this whole thing. That will probably finish off the establishment, those that have Trump derangement syndrome that can't handle this. That will send them off the deep end. And that is necessary. We got to clean out all these organizations. We got to get the government back to working for us. We got to get out of the perpetual war machine. We've got to get rid of all of this. Because we're perilously hanging a lot of things by a thread. We got $35 trillion in debt. We got to figure out a way to stop these $2 trillion a year deficits and growing. We've got to stop not only the bleeding, we got to stop hacking off legs and arms and everything else and thinking we're going to be functioning like a normal human being. We can't put our country in this kind of position because that's going to kill opportunity for 98.7% of us. And we will do so at our peril. Some of the things that drive them crazy. Jake Tapper had this. And they're trying to say, oh, how did these illegals get these phones and how the government, now that the Harris Biden administration taught what? How many? Well, you probably track how many illegals coming in by how many phones we, the dummies, the United States citizens, are paying for.
The FBI said only to test, but the New York Times later reported they came very close to operationalizing it. And in recent months, Jake, we've seen ICE, for instance, purchase a similar powerful Israeli spyware technology from a company called Paragon. So you now have Donald Trump coming in with campaign promises including mass deportation and technology that could really transform the way that those promises are executed in a way that civil liberties experts and privacy law experts tell me everyone should be afraid of.
Remember when Tom Homan said, oh, this mass deportations are going to be easy? The government that gives you something, this government can take you away. The Harris Biden administration thought, well, we'll track them by these cell phones and everything else and all that. Well, guess who's got, or in a couple of months, is going to have control of all those cell phones that were passed out by the non-government organizations like Catholic Charities, the Red Cross, Lutheran Charities, who took our money through the federal government, which they couldn't do these activities, but they sent it on, and I believe illegally, to have those agencies shutter these illegals pouring across the border, 10, 20, 30 million, who knows what the number is. What do you think Border Czar Tom Homan's going to do with that? Oh, this is where you're at? You're getting ping traced everywhere you go. And there's nothing. You know, we have the Lincoln Riley case where she was murdered, 22-year-old college student, in Georgia, allegedly by an illegal alien. And the story broke yesterday as the trial started. He was in New York City and requested a flight from the government from New York City to Atlanta, Georgia, and we did it, and we, the dummies, paid for it. Along with, they were in an apartment, his three brothers and another chick, probably getting $8,800 a month. Because they've been given $2,200 a month to the vast majority of these illegals. Just add up the money that's going out in that every month. But now the libtards are sitting there. Oh, well, you know, they got this civil, they're going to civil rights and that. If you crossed into this country illegally or were brought in under a sham asylum illegally, go look. Congress has passed a bill, and they have plenary power over whatever happens to the border. They could say nobody's coming in. They could take down the walls and say, we're ripping the U.S. Customs Office out. Anybody can come in, or anything in between. They have set the parameters that 1 million people per year can come in through a legal process. And you have to do this, that, and the other before you are granted U.S. citizenship. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris thumbing their nose, and that's putting it very politely, at the law they were supposed to, they swore an oath to carry out. They are the executive branch. Congress appropriates and says this is a policy. The executive branch executes that policy. They don't get to decide, well, you know, the hell with Congress. We're just going to let anybody that we want in. Just like the War Powers Act. If we are going to back or spend $200 billion in Ukraine, there should be a declaration of war passed in the Congress of the United States. Period. End of story. I believe the law, unless they changed it. So the president has supposedly is supposed to have a 90-day authority on this, you know, because obviously if there's a emergency, a conflict that goes, or pray tell, the worst scenario, somebody launches a nuclear weapon or something, you don't have 90 days, or you can't convene Congress. The president, that's why he's commander-in-chief. He makes the day-to-day, he runs the military, he's in charge of the military, he's commander-in-chief of the military. He makes the calls, he runs the military, he's in charge, he's responsible for running it, not dictating the policy. But like with this and others coming up, it's poetic justice, let's say. That we, the people, are finally getting a handle on this. Or we're starting, like I said, the pendulum swung and bending over outside the grandfather clock left. We're starting to grab a hold of it and starting to straighten it up a little bit and get ready to start pulling it back into the center. Make no mistake about it, this is going to be a long process. Not all of it's going to be pretty. Not all of it's, there's going to be some pain like with anything else going on. But again, you're going to like the end result. And that's what we need to focus on. Even if things look bleak or stuff, you got to focus on the end game on this stuff. And that's what Trump and guys like Musk and Vivek and people like that, Lutnick, coming in, they're long-range thinkers. They're flying at 80,000 feet or gazillion feet, as Musk wants to do, to go to Mars. They're not afraid to step out and take a chance. And that's what we need. They're not, like with Trump leading the charge, Trump's not afraid to take bold action. He's not going to be deterred if somebody's upset or they don't see where this is going right now, because in the end, all of them know the end result is going to work out to benefit the vast majority of everyone. So that's what we should all keep in mind as we move forward and we get down to the brass tacks and the nitty-gritty, as they say, of what we have going on here, because it's going to be one of the biggest political fights coming up in 25, because people are not going to let go of the power they've had, institutional power they've had for decades. They're not just going to say, ollie, ollie, oxen, no, they're going to claw, they're going to grab on to the end of the railing, and you're going to have to peel their fingers off one at a time. But peel those fingers off we must. Because if we don't, the alternative is just 1,000 and gazillion percent unacceptable. We'll have a lot of fun, too, but enjoy the ride. It's all, approach it with a positive attitude that we are going to succeed. And most of all, we're doing the right thing for everyone. Not only the United States, but the world. We need to knock off a lot of this crazy madness that's been going on for far too long, from the World Economic Councils and the World Health Forums and United Nations. That's another organization I'd like to see us out of, and NATO and all this other. It probably started out as a good idea, but as I've said, no matter how well intentioned, 98.7% of all government programs wind up in graft, corruption, and failure. Royism 101. And there probably has never been truer words that have ever been spoken. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Subaru or Toyota, go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships at San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Over at I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. Well, we had the first show on X going on. Got the MAGA hat on. That's our trash can. The vest. Well, maybe for X, maybe we'll put the white T-shirt and the vest on. We, the garbage men and women of America, got a lot of work to do in the next 4 years. So be prepared. And being garbage men, sometimes it's not pretty of what you see. But in the end, when that trash is rotting in the ground, it's turning into oil and natural and methane gas is powering your cars and your electricity and heating your homes. So it's a necessary evil, and it keeps the pestilence and disease out of your homes and communities. So ultimately, while it might not be the most glamorous job in the world, it's one of the most necessary jobs in the world, and we're aiming to do it on the next 4 years. That'll do it for today, as we usually say at this time. Mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was...
All right, Roy, I'm glad everything worked.
Yes, I think so.
All right, we'll talk to you Friday.
You got it.
Bye now.